We're just ordinary people living ordinary lives until we see someone on TV win a $25,000 prize. Come on down. I'll play any game for 10 seconds of fame. Come on down. I'll make a deal, just let me spin the wheel. Come on down. To win $1 million, all you need is a little luck and thorough knowledge of multiple disparate trivial subjects.
All right, welcome back to an all-new episode of Come On Down, the game show podcast, hosted by me, John Baker.
And me, almost OU grad, Jonathan Motney.
Wow.
I was so close.
You, how many credits away were you from graduating?
I think I was 2 classes.
Wow.
No, it was, I think it was a full semester.
Yeah.
So was I 15, 18 hours?
Something like that, probably.
15 credit hours away.
And then you eventually did get a college degree.
Mm-hmm. From a real college.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Arguably.
I say that in interviews. I say, yes, I got a degree from a real college. We can move on now. We don't need to ask any follow-up questions
no follow-ups
from that.
We will continue from there. Today we're going to be talking about a game show. Speaking of colleges.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, what a fucking tie-in. Wow. What a coincidence that was.
Yeah.
Called College Bowl.
And there's a lot of football stuff that goes on?
No, it's soup related.
Soup?
Yes.
College soup? Oh, the other part of College Bowl phrase. Got it.
Yeah. But first, we've got a sponsor.
We do? And this is the beginning of the sponsor. Read.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Just for legal purposes, we have to tell you where the ad is.
This is right.
For the children.
Yeah. Hey, John.
Yeah, John?
You know what I'm nostalgic for?
Dunkaroos?
Close. Police sketch artists. They were like caricature artists at amusement parks, except instead of drawing big goofy heads or enlarged body parts, they would draw suspected killers' faces so the general public could recognize them in public.
How does that tie into our sponsor for today?
Well, our sponsor for today is a conferencing software called Call & Sketch.
Nowadays, a lot of conferencing platforms like to have a wide range of visual resources that allow their users to collaborate, accompanied by excellent quality.
That's right. But Call & Sketch stands out from the group because instead of boring quality, each person on the call gets their own personal police sketch artist.
Just start a conference call and their team of sketch artists receives the address of each participant. They hop in their cars and show up at your door ready to sketch any visuals outlined on the call.
It's so simple. When describing the visual content you want the sketch artist to draw while on the call, just make sure... I wanted 6 commas in that sentence. There was one. Just make sure they give them the ample time to sketch it out. The talented artists need only 40 minutes per each 8.5 by 11 visual.
Call & Sketch has a vast network of artists scattered throughout the US and Europe, ready to hop in their 2009 Lincoln Continentals and provide you with the best sketch they can create based on audio descriptions.
Come On Down listeners will receive 10% off their first police sketch artist.
Call & Sketch, because conference platforms with video quality are a thing of the past.
End of ad read.
Okay, yeah. We talked about police sketches on this podcast in the past.
We did.
I don't remember why, but I remember we talked about that, some serial killer in California, Richard Rodriguez or something like that.
Okay.
And I talked about how...
It's the guy that died in jail?
Well, no, that was... We were talking about the dating game killer.
Oh,
died
okay.
In jail. No, this was a different killer. I can't remember his name right now. His killer
sketch
name.
artist killer.
I remember his regular name, but not his superhero name.
I just thought of the perfect crime.
Okay.
You're a serial killer.
Got it.
But you kill police sketch artists.
Oh shit!
Nobody can identify you.
There's no way you could ever get caught. That's smart. All right. Look out in 2 years for the major motion picture Sketched to Kill.
Sketched to Kill. All right.
Needle in a sketch stack.
Ooh, I like it. What's a sketch? Call and Drawn to death.
Drawn to death. I like it.
Dang.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Tune in for that because we will be selling that to
Correct.
Warner Brothers.
Okay, that was the end of the ad read.
Again? Oh, that was the ad for Drawn to Death.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So today we're talking about a program called College Bowl. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Capital One College Bowl.
Very important.
Wanted to
There's a
make
lot
sure
of money involved in this show.
to get out there that this is called Capital One College Bowl
Mm-hmm.
currently. But this has got
By the end of this run, it might be, what is it? Diet Dr. Pepper College Bowl. What was the Dana Carvey show? By the end,
yeah, it was Diet A&W.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a program that has recently aired on NBC, but it has got a long and storied history.
Good,
Did you know
because
that?
it is a boring remake. So I'm
Whoa.
glad there's other stuff to talk about.
So this is a show that actually started as a live stage performance for the USO during World War II.
Wow.
So,
That's kind of cool.
right. So back in they still do this, but back in the day it was more important, I feel like. Because back in the day, you'd have these troops, they would be overseas, they would be stationed on bases and things like that. And
Generally, people liked troops.
yes,
back in the day.
Right. So there were no internet. What? What'd you laugh?
There were no
There
internet.
were no internet. None of the internet.
I guess is internet plural?
I don't know.
Ooh.
It is now. There were no websites. What if I said that?
That
there
makes-
there were no streaming services.
Sure.
There wasn't cable TV.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're over there fighting some Nazis, as you should have been,
You should have been.
then there was really nothing for you to do other than fight Nazis, like jerk off and
Play cards.
yeah, play
smoke.
cards, right? So there wasn't
Actually,
a lot.
there was a lot to do.
Now that I think of it, because you can't smoke anymore. You can barely jerk off.
Yeah.
Every time I do it, they're like, "Get out of the playground."
Yeah.
But yeah, so there wasn't a lot to do to occupy your time other than those few things, and there was really no entertainment options for you. You were just like on the battlefield in France or something, just waiting to kill another Nazi, which is a noble thing to do.
You were just waiting for a letter to get there.
Yeah, exactly. Like a letter with a picture of your loved one, like maybe with her like dress off her shoulder a little bit. And that's
then,
currency.
And then
That's currency in war.
yeah. And then you're clear to jerk off in any playground you want because you got the material now.
Exactly. So the USO, like I said, it's still a thing, but it was probably bigger and more important back then. Where they would send entertainers over into these war zones to
Classic.
entertain the troops. Comedians, singers, dancers, etc., would go over there and perform for giant raucous crowds of troops, and they would be hours long presentations of these different things to keep them entertained. And one of the things that was crafted during this was what they called College Quiz Bowl, and it would basically they would get representatives that attended different colleges and have this quiz competition, and people would root for the different schools and things like that.
Yeah.
Or if it was like Naval Academy versus West Point or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just
Ear Canal.
a good old fashioned quiz competition, and this kind of spawned a bunch of other stuff like this, like quiz bowls spun off into a thing that like high schools do and colleges do on their own, not just for entertainment purposes, just for the challenge, I guess.
Yeah.
So that all kind of spun off from this USO tour thing that was created during World War II to entertain the troops. And they would have some like sexy ladies dancing up there in between.
And they're going crazy in the audience. Yeah. Well, you can't do that
Westlife.
anymore.
Well, but you could then, so it's okay.
Right.
I can demonstrate what you could do back then.
Wait, hold on. You can demonstrate whatever was okay in the past?
Yeah, as long
So
as
can't
I'm
you just say
referencing
that you're
it.
doing that constantly if you want to do something that
And I
is
do.
inappropriate
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
No,
Like
no,
if-
I'm showing you how men would goose women's buttocks in the streets.
Like when I say, yes, they went there to entertain the soldiers who were fighting the Orientals. At the time, that was what they called them.
Right.
So that's what I'm referencing.
Right.
I would never.
We're trying to use our words to put you into a time machine, to go into the past, to get perspective on how it was done.
And I'm glad you guys understand that. So this obviously was, a live stage thing, basically. It then turned into a radio thing. So in 1953 on NBC Radio, because, it was radio before it was a TV station.
And there were 3 channels.
Right. Up until when we talk about any game show that existed before 1985, it was on one of 3 channels.
Yeah. It was before all these new age hippy dippy Pluto TVs came into our sphere.
Not even a planet.
Anymore.
Not anymore. It's been canceled.
Yeah.
Pluto said some really fucked up stuff.
Yes.
About Asians.
Right. He was at Walt Disney World and was doing some stuff with his
dog.
nose. What?
Pluto the dog.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So in 1953, this became an NBC radio show, and something that they did that was pretty cool, I thought, was rather than have a studio where they bring these people into, and this is probably like a cost savings measure when I think of it, but it added to the effect of it. What they would do is they would have the host, who was Alan Ludden, who we've talked about before because he was the host of Password. He was the husband of Betty White.
Okay.
For much of the end of his life, and he would host it from the studio in New York or whatever, and then they would have one correspondent each at the 2 universities that were competing in that episode, and so it would be recorded in those separate auditoriums of the 2 universities, and so they would have like crowds there cheering on their school in the auditorium.
Nice.
While it was being recorded live. So it was all done kind of remotely. Alan Ludden was hosting it from a studio while the 2 teams were on their respective university campuses.
That's cool.
And you would have the fans cheering in the background for them and things like that. So you kind of got, it was like an athletics like atmosphere that was created by it, basically.
Yeah.
So that was a cool way to do radio that you never really think. Anytime I think of like the way radio shows worked, I just think back to like all the weird tools they have to have in there for like Foley work.
Yeah.
With just like some weird dangling maracas and things that they're making footstep sounds with. And yeah. But I didn't think
It's a horse.
Wow, that was good.
That's a horse. Wait for it. Knocking on the door.
Oh, okay. So that was just the knocking.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool, like I said. At this point, it was called College Quiz Bowl.
Okay.
Because
there's quizzing involved.
There's quizzing involved. We had to get that clear. We had to be upfront about that. Then in 1959, it was adapted for TV, but on CBS, one of the other 2 channels that it could have possibly been on.
Yeah.
So from 59 to 63, it was on CBS, and then in 63, it moved to NBC, where it stayed until 1970.
They were like, we want it back. Give it
Yeah,
back.
they're like, you know what? We should have gotten the TV rights to this, a bad boy.
We'll give it to you. We'll let you borrow it for, a couple of years. And then, but we want it back after that.
Well, and then shortly after it moved to NBC, I think Alan Ludden became the host of Password, and that probably paid him a little more.
Mm-hmm.
So he left to just be the host of Password.
Oof.
And then they replaced him with a new host by the name of Robert Earl, who is pretty unfamous for anything other than being the guy who succeeded Alan Ludden as the host of College Bowl.
Great.
And to the point where they kind of looked similar, like similar stature and height and hair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
According to Betty White.
Uh-oh. Hot
wife of Alan Ludden.
Hot goss alert coming in.
Yes. Who's alive? Who told me this yesterday?
And that's the gossip.
Betty White is alive. They asked for Alan Ludden's optometrist.
Eye doctor.
Yes. Wow. You're nailing this college bowl already.
Yeah.
And they sent Robert Earl to the same optometrist so that he could get the same frames of glasses for Alan Ludden, so he could just like slide right on in there.
Yeah.
And looking like an Alan Ludden copycat.
Nice.
But he was a little more, I don't know what the word is, like serious, I guess.
Okay.
Like a little more academic than Alan Ludden. A little bit less fun, a little more like...
He was more of the quiz
knowledge.
part of the college quiz bowl.
Exactly.
And
Alan Ludden was more the
was
bowl.
Yep. And what Foley artist sound is that?
That is sucking a big rip out of a bong.
Oh, so kind of what it sounded like.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I just wanted to be clear that that's exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was going to make like a joke answer, but I was really proud of my Foley work there. So I just wanted it to be clear that if you thought that sounded like me taking a big bong rip, you're right.
Which we don't condone. And sometimes I think this is a good opportunity to show that sometimes an anti-joke can turn out to be a joke itself. Right? Because our audience might have been expecting. Right. It sounded like I was setting you up for something.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we need to do a masterclass on comedy. Is what this
is that what you're learning right now?
Understand. Let's explain comedy to people.
Yeah, you wanted me, or it sounded like you were setting me up to do some sort of like homophobic joke or something like that.
No, just setting you up to say something funny.
Right. So
it's weird that you think that if something funny is homophobic. That's what you think. And
in my masterclass, we'll unpack that. Okay. Why is that? So back at this time, it was schools, and basically you would return if you won, kind of like other game shows of the era.
Sort of the make it, take it of the world.
That's where it came from originally.
Before
it was in pickup basketball.
Yeah.
It was in college quiz bowl.
So it did start in basketball, and then it was sort of so similar to how this was a CBS, an NBC, and a CBS. The make it take it was sort of let them borrow it.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
So you could come back and win 5 times, and then if you won 5 times, they said you retired undefeated.
And you have CTE.
No, it's basketball. Or football, which they then borrowed that from.
Got it.
But yeah, it's fun. I just thought it was funny that the way they use the term retired undefeated when every single team that won 5 retired undefeated, and every single team that didn't win 5, did they retire defeated?
Yes.
Is that the proper terminology for it?
Clearly.
They retired defeated, dejected, losers. They went home losers. And of course, because there's got to be prizes, they were competing for scholarship money.
Textbooks, because they were way too expensive.
Obviously.
And so
basically the same thing. Scholarship money was the prize for all these shows. And it continues to be the prize today.
You know what I think of that prize?
How much student loan debt do you have right now?
I only have $5,000 left.
Really?
I had 30 when I was 22 years old.
And that's not that much compared to a lot of people.
I think that's right around average.
Is it?
Yeah, I think like 25 to 30 range is what the average student debt is.
So wouldn't you have liked to have none of that? And now that you are 35 years old, so it's been 13 years.
Right.
Wouldn't you have liked to not have been paying that debt that whole time?
It just made me realize how long it's going to take me to pay this house off. When 30,000 took me.
At least they tell you, like right here, you buy a house, they come in and they say, here's your 30-year mortgage. Here's your 15-year mortgage.
Right.
Like I have a 15-year mortgage. I used to have a 30-year mortgage.
Right. I will be going into my master's. You have a bachelor's of mortgages. I'm on the master's track.
So, but like I knew when I got in, like, I used to have a 30-year mortgage. I knew this would take 30 years to pay off. And then after like 5 years, I thought that's too long.
Mm-hmm.
And let's do a 15. But then it's not like I already did 5 of it, so it's only 10 left. It's like I'm starting over at 15 right now.
Right.
So when you take out a college loan, they're not like, oh, do you want to take out a 15-year college mortgage?
Yeah.
It's just like you
Forever.
take it and then they own you.
They know that you will have this forever. And the only number they bring up is your interest is 10%, which is not crazy because that's a number that's under 20. And you're like, that logic kind of checks out.
Is that how you thought of it?
That's
how
they sold
wow,
it to
that's
me.
they go, it's 10%. And you go, ooh, is that kind of high? And they go, it's under 20. And you went, wow, all right, that's a deal.
I mean, you're in college. You haven't bought anything at this point. You're like, 10% doesn't sound that bad.
Seems pretty reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we're going to be doing a spin-off podcast on the student debt crisis.
It'll be a masterclass on how to get debt.
Yeah, which we are very good at. We have a lot of experience.
Correct.
We can really knock this out
At
of the park.
least $300,000 of debt between us two.
So, and by the way, the solution to the student debt crisis is College Bowl. We need more College Bowls, giving out more scholarships to people. And if you don't win College Bowl,
Yeah.
you don't go to college.
Ooh.
That's the rule.
You have to learn a trade.
You're a mechanic now. You are
Well, no, they go to
a coal miner.
they go from College Bowl. They don't win that, and they retire defeated. Then they go to trade school bowl.
Oh, so they have to
Trade
they have
school.
to win to even get into mechanic school.
Right. And then if they drop out, or if they
They have to go to McDonald's Bowl
or McDonald's Bowl, yep. And then they just go to Street Urchin Bowl.
Street urchin. That's a term that you don't hear often.
It's not.
That's something you use a lot in your day-to-day life. You're driving down the road in the city and you're like, well, look at this street urchin over here.
No, I'll tell you how I use it in my everyday life. I wake up every morning, and my first thought is, how do I not become a street urchin today?
What is an urchin?
And I make my bed, and then I don't do crap.
Isn't an urchin like a sea anemone or something? Isn't there a sea urchin?
There's urchin is, well, that's what it is. It's homeless people that have drowned and they've
Oh
sunk to
God!
the bottom of the sea.
Wow.
And now they are a sea urchin.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're not supposed to pay them in shells, because then they don't actually try and get the help that they need.
Jesus. All right. Well, we're about to be hanging out with Pluto.
I can say that because I gave a homeless violin player at Kroger yesterday $20.
There's no chance he was homeless. He had a violin.
It was an electric violin with an amp.
All right, so there's even less chance.
He said he had 2
Are
children.
you sure this wasn't Lindsey Sterling?
He said they had 2 children, and he plays for he doesn't have a job, or he can't get a job, and he was wearing a tuxedo. And he
Very nice new Versace.
I saw him get out of a car. It was a very nice car. It wasn't a street urchin car, which is a shopping cart.
Wow. So, wow, that was very big of you.
Thank you.
To do that.
Yeah.
I was at Sam's a few months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I was walking out, and then they had these people camped out outside from the North Texas Food Bank,
Yes. NTFB.
and they were like, "Do you want to give a donation to the North Texas Food Bank?" And I was like, "Well, I guess I feel like a dick if I said no."
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, "Sure." And then there was these things, and it was like $5, $10, $25. And she's like talking to me, and I wasn't like paying attention that much. And she's like, "So which one do you want to do?" And I was like, "Let's do the $25." I'm like, I'm a fucking big spender, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, "Yeah, we can take your credit card." And she like scans my credit card or whatever. And then she was like, "All right, so your recurring monthly $25 donation, like blah, blah, blah." And I was like, fuck, I didn't mean to do that.
Now you have to.
Can I go with 5?
You
Can I go
can't.
with 5? And so I haven't canceled it because then they're gonna like judge me.
Who's they?
The North Texas Food Bank people.
Yeah, but you've already donated more than most
Hundreds
people.
of dollars now.
Dude, I would have canceled. I would have slapped the card machine out of her hand, broken it, stepped on it.
Here's the thing. Here's the difference between you and me.
Yeah. I give cash hard cash that people can use, and you swipe an imaginary card and give them Monopoly dollars.
First of all, I got a restaurants.com gift card for my troubles.
Oh, so you got something back for what you gave.
You can't really use anywhere. Restaurants.com is garbage. They're not a sponsor of this program. They suck.
Yeah, we'll never do them.
And you know what? I don't even notice that the $25 a month is gone. But for somebody else out there, maybe that's making a big difference in their life.
Wow.
That's how I feel about it.
I fed a family, so I literally fed a family.
You bought a guy a better amp cord for his violin.
Come on. He probably goes to Best Buy, and that's not even a third of an amp cord price.
That's true. Because they've got the premium amp cords with the premium connectors and cables. So as we mentioned, so this ended in 1970 on NBC. And you might be wondering, sounds like a great show. Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Sounds entertaining.
Fun.
Why would it end in 1970? So it had sponsors at the time, just like it does now. It was like GE back then.
Big company.
And right around this time, speaking of the USO, you know that song War, What Is It Good For?
Absolutely nothing.
Right. So that was kind of what was going on in America at that point in time, because there was a war over in Vietnam.
Right.
With
that we won, and nobody had issues with it.
Right. With the Vietnamese people, the North Vietnamese, I think. And it was not a very popular war over here in the U.S. Hugely popular there in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Still selling out shows.
Right.
For reenactments and stuff. But here...
Wait, did they do like...
Look how we do Civil War reenactments? They do Vietnam War reenactments over there. That
makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a bunch of guys named Charlie, and they all get together and pretend to kill white people.
Honestly, the nicest slang name that
Charlie?
we have in history, I would think.
Charlie in them trees.
Yeah, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
They're all
Charlie
named
Brown?
Charlie. No, Charlie White.
No, the Charlie were Asian.
Oh, I thought
We
every
were the
troop
white.
we sent over, they had to legally change their name to Charlie.
Exactly. So there was that war going on. It wasn't very popular here. And then a big place of protest and unrest turned out to be colleges. So like there was that thing at Kent State where, the cops shot all those protesters on account of protesting, which was not a wildly popular move at the time.
No.
In hindsight, though,
it's popular now.
Now, I mean, people see that they deserved it. But big trouble at the time. A lot of unrest on these college campuses. And the sponsors said, let's stay away from colleges. There's a hot button issue going on at colleges right now. And so the show got taken off the air because of Lyndon Baines Johnson and John F. Kennedy and their unpopular war in Vietnam.
Wow.
Although I think Nixon was the president at that point in time.
Yes. He and acid was a thing too.
What does that have to do with any of this?
They think that's what led to colleges becoming more outspoken and
they were all
open-minded.
They were all doing acid.
It was all against the grain.
Wow. So it went off the air in 1970. Now it's back, folks. It is back. College bowls, as untelevised events, like we said, continued to exist throughout this whole time period. There was a spin-off basically at HBCUs.
Historically black colleges and universities.
Nailed it. That was called the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge.
Okay.
And that has been going on for a few decades now. And that is kind of the format that was adopted for this new version of College Bowl. And they also got Peyton Manning to host it. The Capital One College Bowl on NBC. It premiered just this last summer, 2021.
Crazy.
And rather than it be a college versus college and then the winner returns to retire undefeated eventually,
Yes.
it was like a tournament style.
Like an NCAA March Madness tournament?
Exactly. So there was like a qualifying round, and then the top 8 teams went into the quarterfinals.
Okay.
And then it was a bracketed thing where you went from the quarterfinals. So there was, 4 quarterfinal matches, a couple semifinals, and then a championship.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Peyton Manning was the host. He has a sidekick, which is Cooper Manning, his brother.
Right.
Who-
The college football failure.
Yes, he had some injury issues. And, a lot of people say he was the best, most athletic Manning brother before he got hurt.
For the 1 year he played college football?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a thing that people say a lot. It's always like one of those...
Do you think he likes it when he hears that? You had so much potential. You were going to be the best.
Well, right, because
But you retired defeated.
Right, because he had to do probably nothing for his whole life. But because his dad was an NFL player and his 2 brothers were NFL players, he just gets to like chill and be like, yeah, I'm a Manning. Like, imagine if he was like a real estate agent. Like, who wouldn't want to buy a house from a Manning brother? Especially in Mississippi or Tennessee,
Right.
So easy. He had his life on easy mode. Didn't even have to play football. Didn't even have to get beat up, after that one crippling injury that ended his football career.
Right.
So Andy's also right now, his son is a junior in high school, and he's the #1 high school football recruit in the nation.
He's very good.
His name is Arch.
Not Archie, like
Arch,
his grandpa.
Just Arch.
Yes.
Arch Manning. So, he plays at a private school in Louisiana, and it's just like a bunch of like rich white private school kids that he's playing against.
So how good is he?
To be honest with you, it looks hilarious. Like watching the highlight videos, it's like because he looks slow, and he looks twice as fast as anybody else.
Okay,
it's pretty funny. So, Peyton Manning is the host. Cooper Manning is the yuck monkey. I don't know what his real purpose is.
Nobody knows why he's there.
He's there, and Peyton bounces things off of him from time to time.
He is a worse sidekick than any sidekick I've ever seen.
I thought we were
going to
get a good comparison, but just than any.
He's a worse sidekick than...
What about Anthony Anderson's mom on the new To Tell the Truth?
She's 1,000 times better.
She's got like a trophy carved out of her head.
Here's this. The bust of Anthony's mom is better than... than Cooper Manning.
Wow. Hot takes. So, like I said, it works in a bracket format. They did a qualifying round where, you won your qualifier, you moved on, and then I think like the next top 2 scores moved on as well. And then they put it into a bracket. I, for fun, went ahead and watched an episode with the University of Tennessee on it because obviously I knew Peyton Manning went there, and so I thought that would be fun. And they faced off against Columbia University.
Yikes.
So I mean, hey, you might be surprised how it turned out.
Columbia won.
Right? Yeah. So you're not surprised?
No.
Okay. Wasn't very close.
It wasn't even close.
No, not really. No. So there are 2 teams, like we said, 2 schools. They are not.
So that was a 1-15 seed situation.
Yeah, exactly. They were not on their respective campuses. It's all in a studio audience. And there are 2 teams of 3 students. There's also an alternate that we don't see that is there in case, I don't know, somebody dies.
So there's a bench player.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
But they can only be subbed in if one of the people like has to leave.
Like death.
Right. Like it can't be like, they want to take this day off and sub this person in for the day. Like, no, it has to be like, that person's out. Like there's some extenuating circumstances. So you never, as far as I could tell, you never saw any of these bench players, but they exist in theory. And they introduce themselves. It's kind of funny because when each of the players is being introduced, they kind of set them up by saying like, their expertise is this thing.
Yeah.
And it's always weird because it's not like, all right, here's the team. And like when you think of a sports team, for example, like a basketball team.
Okay, I'm going to close my eyes.
All right. So it's like Now starting at small forward in his fourth year from Middle Tennessee.
Yep.
Jeff, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And then everybody's got a position.
Sure.
So in this, you'd think like, oh, okay, so maybe every team has like the math expert, the science expert, and the English expert or something like that.
Right.
But no, they all just have a seemingly like random expertise that is not necessarily affiliated to like an important category in this game or an important team makeup or anything like that. Like I was watching this Tennessee girl on the team was introduced and it was like, she's an expert in classical civilizations. And I'm like, boy, that's really specific. Even for like a quiz competition like this, that's just a very specific thing. Like hopefully there's something about ancient Greece that is asked.
Right.
Otherwise she's screwed.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny. But the way that it works, there the two teams of three. They put 5 categories up on the board in the face-off round, which is the first round. And whoever has first pick, I don't know if it's determined by coin toss or seeding or whatever, gets to choose what is the first category of these 5 that will be played. And so then there's a toss-up question that anybody on either team can buzz in and answer first if they know. And if they get it right, then that team has control for 2 additional bonus questions.
Ooh.
And if they miss a bonus question, the other team has a chance to answer. But like if you get the first one right, miss the first bonus question, and the other person answers, it's still your turn for the second bonus question. You don't like lose control of the category by missing the bonus question, only by missing the original question. So they go through, and then once if you've got control, you choose the category of the remaining 4 up there for the next face-off.
Yeah.
And again, it's the first person to buzz in on either team, answer, gets control, etc. And so they go through 4 of the 5 categories.
Okay.
Then they flip it over, 5 new categories, same exact thing.
Wow.
Then they flip it over, 5 new categories.
Jeez.
Same exact thing. So they do that 3 times. So there are 12 total categories that are gone through for these. And you're accumulating points. Like the points go up a little bit per round. It's hard to explain the breakdown of points throughout this game because it's like 10 points here, 20 points there, yada, yada, yada. But you're accumulating points, let's put it that way, for each of the correct answers that you get. Then after the face-off round is the dropout round.
Uh-oh.
Which I think this is kind of fun, although you get no points for it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, when you drop out, you get nothing.
But nobody gets anything for this one.
Oh.
So the way it works is that there is a list of 30 correct answers is established. Like, list the, let's say, top 30 most populous cities in the world. And the teams then take turns, like person by person, like the person on the far left of each team, then the person in the middle of each team, et cetera, trying to name one of the things that falls under that category.
Delhi.
India? Wrong.
It's not.
I don't know.
One of the top 30 most populous?
It might be. I just wanted to say that.
Okay.
So, is that even a city? What about New Delhi? Are you talking about Old Delhi?
No, that one got shut down for health code violations.
Okay. So, and if you miss it, you drop out. You're out of the game.
Okay.
And the goal is to be the team with the last person standing, or people, if the other team, misses all people while you still have people left. Number 2,
baby.
Number 2 in the world, with a population of 29 million. That is way, way, way too many people for a city.
Yeah, what is that? 10 times the size of Texas?
It's like the size of Texas, basically. 29 million people. That's absurd. So, the dropout round ends, like I said, when one team has all 3 of their teammates eliminated. There is something that you can do in the dropout round if maybe you don't know, or if you think somebody on the other team doesn't know.
Ooh.
You can say, like, challenge this person.
This one's the dumbest on that
Right.
side.
So if they get it wrong, they're eliminated. But if they get it wrong when you challenge them, you're eliminated.
Oh no.
So I did see one where it was on this Tennessee versus Columbia episode. A girl it was named the top 30 most populous countries in Africa.
Okay.
And they had only said like 3 at this point. Like South Africa, Democratic Republic of Congo, Nigeria,
Zimbabwe
were said so far.
Oh, okay.
And it was this girl's turn, and she was like, and she like thought for a really long time. She was like, Egypt? And they're like, correct. And then it got to the next girl on the Tennessee team, and she was like, challenge her again.
She barely got that one.
She barely got Egypt, which is a pretty obvious one. And she missed it.
You should have fucked with your opponent and been like, oh man, I don't know.
Right.
I bet the people on the Columbia side when Peyton was like, who do you want to challenge? And they were like, it doesn't matter.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
I want to challenge Tennessee. So at the end of this round, like I said, there's one team with at least one person left standing, and there are no points awarded, as I mentioned, but going into the final round, which is the 2-minute drill, the team that won gets all 3 of their members to participate in the 2-minute drill. The team that lost in the dropout round can only bring 2 of their team members to the 2-minute drill.
Okay.
They have to, and I thought this was like kind of like a funny, like a Mean Girls situation of like, they have to determine which one of us is too dumb to go on to this next round. Like, hey, this is too important, and you barely knew that Egypt was a country in Africa, so you're out.
Yeah.
Because that was the person that they chose to not move on to the 2-minute drill with them.
Makes sense.
So the 2-minute drill is pretty much as it sounds. Before the episode, there were 6 categories basically put up on the board that they called majors. 6 majors. And each team before the episode, like I said, had to choose their major. And so in the 2-minute drill, all of the questions being asked to your team over the course of 2 minutes apply to this category. And so the team that is trailing goes first in the 2-minute drill, and like they're earning points for every question they get right. You don't lose points for missing questions or passing.
Okay.
So you want to try and go as quickly as you possibly can. And for every 5th question in a row that you get right, you get bonus points.
Nice.
So you're trying to go as quickly as possible, and you kind of want to see if you can get 5 in a row right to get bonus points. So it is a race against the clock, and you've got your team with you, and you're all trying to, but only one representative from each team is the assigned answerer.
Yeah.
So it's only their answers that they say that are allowed into the record. And so both teams do this. Then at the end, whoever has the most cumulative points throughout the game wins.
Good.
And they move on to the next round.
Good.
So in this case, Columbia pulled off the upset against Tennessee and advanced. Columbia ended up winning the whole thing.
Okay. It was between them and USC.
It was between them and USC. That was the final game. They're like some of the other, like Mississippi was another school in there.
Ole Miss. Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan was in there.
Alabama. Auburn.
Yeah. A lot of SEC schools in there. But yeah, in the end, Columbia ended up winning all the marbles. And what did they get for that? 125K scholarship each, including the alternate who never did anything.
Wow.
All of them get 125K. The losers, USC, get 25K each. And all of the other teams that got eliminated during the competition got 10K each.
Damn.
For their participation. Imagine that. You'd have 5K bonus dollars right now if you had that 10K. You'd have your debt paid off and 5K that you could take to Red Lobster or something.
It would be less than that because, first of all, I would blow through 5K at Red Lobster so quick. I would need more.
Think about all those cheddar biscuits.
I need way more than that. I mean, is the prize really a prize though? Because, scholar or degrees have become so watered down and almost borderline useless at this point.
Commentary.
Can you say, I just want the $125,000? I don't care about your stupid scholarship?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well then this gets a -1 buzzard for me.
But you were just talking about how you had a college degree and you went into a lot of debt because of it.
Correct. Wasn't worth it. Should have just worked. Should have just learned a trade.
So you
would have gone down. Would have been, if I could go back in a time machine
right now,
I would do everything different in my life. I would make the same decision on anything.
Okay. What about your wife?
I would do that the same.
Oh, but you would never meet her because of all the other decisions that you made differently.
I'd still do
butterfly
that
effect.
Here's what I would do. I would stomp on every single butterfly that flies by me. But then when my wife,
nothing to affect.
But when my wife flies by, I'm like, I'm not gonna kill that butterfly.
I'll put that in a chrysalis. Mm-hmm. So you're not impressed by the scholarship. You want cash?
Yes, dude.
But the whole point of the show is like to promote education.
Here's the thing.
And Capital One.
If we are
credit cards.
If we are paying college students now or letting them use their name for some sort of monetary gain, we should give these kids the option to get some sort of monetary gain.
So they should be able to sell their autographs or like
correct
promote a local car dealership.
If there is a college trivia bowl video game, they should be able to take some of the profits. They should have the names
on the back of their jerseys.
Correct.
So I think it is kind of ironic that, and I just alluded to this, that we're talking about like the student debt crisis or whatever you want to call it, and just the massive amounts of student debt that are out there from all these loans that kids take out because they feel like they have to gain a college degree in order to get employment out in the world and things like that. And this is a show where the prizes are helping these people to get out of college debt free or with a significant reduced debt burden. And it's sponsored by a credit card company. Who wants you to just
but they've never
borrow money.
They've never done anything wrong to the American people. They've always been clear that it's a 24% APR. And there was never any laws that were passed that forced them to be more clear about that.
Okay. So what about like the, what was that? The whole financial crisis like 10 or 15 years ago?
Yeah.
And it was all, these banking companies that were giving out predatory loans to people that should not have been getting those loans so that they could default on the loans and collect heightened interest payments because of it.
Sure. That's not bad either.
Is that
what your question was?
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering your thoughts.
Yeah. No. That's fine.
Okay.
Those people were just dumb idiots.
Okay. When in college, I worked at Kohl's for a little bit. And there's a Kohl's credit card.
Yeah.
And it's like 28% interest rate or something like that. And as part of my job, it was like you've got to ask everybody to sign up for the Kohl's charge if they don't have it. And for every person you do, you get 25 cents.
25 cents.
25 cents.
So just a one-time payment of 25 cents. Well, not like
no. You get a quarter. And that was how they thought that they could get me to shill their predatory product to all of these like lower income minorities that are shopping for clothes at Kohl's was 25 cents they thought they could bribe me with.
Yeah.
And it worked.
I was going to say, how many did you sell?
Oh, God. You have no idea how many bubble gums I bought from those machines where they spin down.
So that's why there's so many bubblegum machines in every Kohl's.
Yeah. What else are you going to do with your quarter? They do tax it, though, unfortunately. Really, they give you a 17-cent piece. Yeah, a quarter. They're like, a quarter. And then sometimes there would be like a promotion, and it would be like, hey, we're really pushing the Kohl's charge. 50 cents per sign up.
Holy
50 cents.
Shit.
And I feel like I just told this story recently, but there was this old guy that worked there. And he would always get so many people sign up for Kohl's charges. I think because he would just like lie to them or something.
Yeah. He wouldn't check them out until they signed.
Right, exactly. And so he was like really pushing on them, and I had just absolutely no interest in pushing this on people.
Sure.
And he would always, get the most. And sometimes there was like a competition, so who gets the most? It's like, doesn't matter because Dan is gonna do it.
Yeah.
And it was always like, hey, look how many Dan's doing. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't know if you think that is like a motivating factor for me to like beat this old dude that is preying on poor people. It's not really. So.
And he is now the CEO of Kohl's.
He is the CEO, so I guess it worked out for him. But
for every $1 million that he increases revenue, he gets $1.
Yeah,
as CEO.
It's a great deal for him.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and people would come in. Oh God, they would, because you could pay. Like normally, like you've got a bank, you've got to set up like bank transfer to pay your credit card bills and things like that. Kohl's charge. You can come in with your bill, walk up to the register at Kohl's. The bill has a barcode on it. The person working there can scan it on the register and be like, all right, you owe $1,300 on your Kohl's charge. And you can just pay it at the register right there with cash.
Wow.
And people would come in and it would be like, all right, it says you owe $400. And they'd be like, all right, I'll pay $20. I'm like,
you're like, no, that's the minimum.
Says you owe $400. And like, what's the minimum? And I'm like, 20. And they're like, all right, I'll pay 20.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, duh, you really shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have listened to Dan. Do not listen to Dan.
Dan is single-handedly crushing families.
He killed the middle class by himself.
Yeah. By selling credit cards to the lower
North
class.
Dallas area.
Wow.
Yeah. So thanks, Capital One. I don't think it was Capital. I know it wasn't Capital One.
Okay. Well, it was Kohl's.
It was Kohl's. So yeah, this show, this is what, 70 years. World War II, 75 years ago.
Man.
When this really started.
The good old days.
God, man, I wish things could go back like they were back then.
I miss war.
War, fear of nuclear holocaust.
The Red Scare.
White picket fences.
Communism.
That's the same thing as the
What's
last
that?
one.
What, Red Scare?
Uh-huh.
No. That was when people were terrified of red doors.
Why?
And I want to paint it black. Oh, terrified of black doors.
So are you just thinking like that Rolling Stones song?
The Black Scare.
There was that too, which also tied into redlining. There's a lot of color-related stuff from back then.
How come there's no orange stuff? Oh, Agent Orange.
Yep, that was also a thing about that around that same time.
What are some other fun color things that happened in this?
Yellow fever.
Okay, yeah.
That was a thing.
Is there a purple haze, but that's not.
That's like drugs, right?
Yeah. What color isn't used? Magenta.
Magenta. You think there should be some controversy around magenta?
Yeah. What color would you assign to COVID?
COVID?
Cranberry. I'm thinking a hard K.
A hard K?
A hard K.
In cranberry?
Well, I mean like a hard C or a hard K.
Oh, it's got to be
COVID.
Oh,
COVID.
Oh, I got you. Okay, yeah, let's go with cranberry. The cranberry virus. Now people think if you eat cranberries, you get. What if that's how it actually started? People always think it was like that. What is it? A pangolin now?
Yep.
Not a bat.
It was bat. Then it was pangolin.
A pangolin. What if it was just cranberries?
And it was
listening to the cranberries.
Oh my god! And it was anytime you drank ocean spray.
Zombie. It turns you into a zombie.
Does it? Does
COVID?
it?
Doesn't it?
I guess your lungs into zombies because it kills your lungs.
Right. Well, if you die, then maybe.
Dude,
Because we don't know because we're in we nail all the caskets shut so that they can't come back.
Or maybe it's like cicadas. In 17 years, all these
17 years, all the COVID dead people are gonna come back,
right,
out of a shell.
Yeah,
man,
and they're gonna be super loud for like a month.
2037 is gonna be crazy. So, what did you think of this show? How you gonna make this better? What you like? What you not like?
I'm gonna run down my likes and dislikes, rapid fire style,
like a 2-minute drill.
Yeah, likes. It's a fine game show.
Okay,
I like seeing smart people fail. Game point system. Steals and 10-point questions keep the game close, except for in Columbia, Tennessee situations. Peyton doesn't claim to be a good game show host when I saw an interview that he did, so I respect that because he is not.
I agree with him.
Dislikes. Why are there 2 Mannings? No follow-up, just I think in
Okay.
general, why are there more than 1 Mannings?
Oh, just on Earth?
In the Earth.
Okay, you
Yeah.
thought once we got to Archie, it should be done?
Should have been fine.
Okay.
They have the Manning with the best sense of humor and personality sitting on the bench.
You think that's Eli?
No, I think that...
You think it's Cooper?
Nope, I think it is Peyton. I think he gets no opportunity to be funny. Why is
I
his
see what you're
brother the
saying.
yuck
Gotcha.
goofy Manning? Prize is bullshit. Why is the older brother doing funny commentary? Peyton Manning is too bland. Is it in the show contract that teams have to start all answers with, okay, Peyton?
They did say Peyton a lot when they answered.
every time
there
they
was
addressed
a lot
him.
of like, Peyton, I think it's blah, blah, blah.
Peyton looks like he's there against his will. And from the website, some of the copy said, much like college football, rivalries will be a big part of the action. The first episode features Alabama versus Auburn and Michigan versus Minnesota. That classic top 70 rivalry, Michigan versus Minnesota.
They have a rivalry trophy. They play for like
Snow?
a boot or something like that.
Michigan plays for a boot?
Michigan
Oh,
versus
like a snow boot.
No, it's like Michigan versus Minnesota.
Not even coming up. Oh, that was a...
the little brown jug.
Excuse me?
The little brown jug. I knew it was
What they
something. Look at
play
that.
for should be
It's
an
a jug.
indication of how tiny this rivalry is.
Well, dating back to 1909,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the little brown jug rivalry started. And they played 75 regular season trophy games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Not a great rivalry to say next to Alabama versus Auburn, which is a huge rivalry.
Yes, that'd be the Iron Bowl. That's one that we're all familiar
So
with.
can you hear the differences between that? Iron Bowl,
Little brown jug.
Little Brown Jug.
Which sounds like just a racial slur, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, it sounds not great. And so that was it. Those were my likes and dislikes.
How would you make it better?
I would make it a sports trivia show
Ooh.
because of the whole
The
college
Mannings and
in the yep.
bowl aspect.
I would add in some sort of physical challenges. Trivia shows are
Always.
boring to me. I don't care that you can memorize this thing over the other.
Mm-hmm.
And give Peyton, the funny good one, the one who's hosting the show, more flexibility with his comments.
He was a bit bland.
He was a robot up
He
there.
was a bit bland. Not a lot of personality shining through.
And he has a lot of personality. That's what was so
Right.
upsetting.
I also think there's an issue of, in this version, it was clearly, I assume, COVID related, on isolated set with no audience, that they put in like cheers and laugh tracks and things like that. And it just felt really awkward because they're playing to an audience of 0 and then you're getting the reaction from a fake audience. So a lot of that felt really stilted and uncomfortable to me. It was just awkward crowd interactions and stuff like that. All right. How many buzzers are you going to give this bad boy?
Because I know Peyton Manning has a great sense of humor and probably had one of the funniest sports sketches on SNL, where he's throwing the ball as hard as he possibly can when he's playing a pickup game with children and severely hurting them. I'm gonna give this show 2 buzzers, and if we were to remove Cooper, I'm bumping it up to a 3.
Wow.
But I don't think that'll ever happen. So this is stuck in a 2.
Yeah, I was going to give it a 2.5 buzzers. Just more so because of the history and impact of it in general.
Sure, that's fair.
And it's fine enough to have on in its current incarnation, but not really something to go out of your way for, if you ask me.
No.
Yeah, College Bowl, it exists. That's my review.
That's
if they put that on, like a quote from me on the DVD cover,
Mm-hmm.
season 1 of College Bowl,
Yeah.
Capital One College Bowl, it would
Capital
say,
One
it
College Bowl.
exists, Joan Baker.
And I think that does it perfectly. That's the nicest review I would leave.
Thank you. All right. This has been another episode of Coming Down the Game Show podcast. Follow, like, subscribe, YouTube,
Heart, emoji,
iTunes,
react,
other places that this exists.
send, print out the script, print out a written down script of what one of these episodes is, and mail it to your grandma.
Because she can't find any other way to access it.
Well, I think usually just older people like reading stuff.
That's fair. That's right. And she probably want to highlight her favorite bits.
Have her send it back to you with the highlighted bits.
With some dog tags.
Then you go onto our website on Apple Podcasts and you leave that review.
Okay, smart.
In place of your grandma.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.